For 15 years, she watched the man who murdered her first love receive praise and honor from the village. For 15 years, she carried bruises hidden under her wrapper and pain buried deep in her heart. But even the strongest chains can break. Even the quietest woman can find her voice. Even the most powerless victim can become dangerous when pushed too far. One Harmattan morning, Chief Okonkwo was found dead under the Iroko tree. His jealous brother was immediately accused. The village priestess was called to divine the truth, but what she discovered shocked everyone. This is not a story about a perfect victim or a simple hero. This is a story about survival at any cost, about the price of silence, about a village that chose to look away until it was too late, about a woman who refused to die quietly. This is a story about justice, mercy, complicated, and blood-stained. This is a story that asks difficult questions. When all doors are closed, what do you do? When the law protects the powerful and ignores the weak, who delivers justice? When everyone sees evil but no one stops it, who is truly guilty? The answers will disturb you, challenge you, perhaps even change you. Because this is not just Adaora's story. It is the story of every person who has ever suffered in silence, every community that has ever chosen comfort over truth, every system that has ever valued tradition more than human life. Welcome to Umuowa. Welcome to a story that begins with death, but is really about learning to live. This is Blood of the Innocent. Are you ready to hear the truth? The Harmattan wind blew cold and dusty across Umuowa village. It was the dry season, and the air was thick with red dust that covered everything. The mud houses, the palm trees, and the faces of the people. Chief Okonkwo sat on his wooden stool in front of his compound. He was a big man with a round belly and sharp eyes. Everyone in the village respected him, or so they thought. "Bring me more palm wine," he shouted at his wife Adaora. Adaora came out of the house carrying a clay pot. She was a beautiful woman, but her eyes looked tired and sad. She poured the wine into her husband's cup without saying a word. "Why are you so slow?" Chief Okonkwo grabbed her wrist hard. "Are you trying to disrespect me?" "No, my husband," Adaora whispered, pulling her hand away. The chief laughed and drank his wine. He did not see the hatred in his wife's eyes. That evening, Chief Okonkwo went to the village square for the council meeting. All the important men of Umuowa were there, sitting on wooden stools arranged in a circle. Chief Okonkwo's younger brother Ikena sat across from him. Ikena was thin and quiet. He had always lived in his brother's shadow. "We must discuss the New Yam festival," Chief Okonkwo announced in his loud voice. "I will lead the ceremony as always." Ikena's jaw tightened. Every year, his brother took all the glory. Every year, Ikena got nothing. "But brother," Ikena said carefully, "perhaps this year someone else could." "Someone else?" Chief Okonkwo laughed. "Who? You? You cannot even manage your own farm properly." The other men laughed too. Ikena's face burned with shame and anger. After the meeting, Adaora waited until her husband fell asleep. His snoring shook the rafters of their house. She slipped out quietly into the night. The moon was hidden behind Harmattan clouds, making everything dark and mysterious. Adaora walked quickly through the village paths until she reached a small hut at the edge of the forest. She knocked 3 times. A young man opened the door. His name was Chidi, and he was the village blacksmith. He was handsome and gentle, everything her husband was not. "Adaora," Chidi whispered, pulling her inside. You should not come here. It is too dangerous. I had to see you, she said, touching his face. I cannot bear another day with that monster. Chidi held her close. Soon, my love, soon, we will find a way. But they did not know that someone was watching them from the darkness. The next morning, the sun rose red and angry through the dusty harmattan air. A young boy ran through the village, screaming, Chief Okonkwo is dead! Chief Okonkwo is dead! People poured out of their houses. They ran to the chief's compound and found him lying on the ground near the big Iroko tree. His body was cold and stiff. His eyes were wide open, staring at nothing. Adaora stood at the doorway of the house, her wrapper clutched around her. She looked shocked, but she did not cry. What happened here? Demanded Maziobi, the oldest man in the village. I do not know, Adaora said. I woke up and he was gone. I came out and found him like this. The women began to wail. The men stood around the body, confused and afraid. Ikenna arrived at the compound, breathing hard. When he saw his brother's body, he fell to his knees. No! No! Brother! He cried out. But Maziobi watched Ikenna with suspicious eyes. Everyone knew that Ikenna had always been jealous of his brother. Everyone had heard them arguing at the council meeting just last night. Ikenna, Maziobi said slowly, where were you last night after the meeting? Ikenna looked up, tears on his face. I was at home, with my wife. Why do you ask? Because your brother is dead, another elder said. And you wanted what he had. What? No. Ikenna stood up, his voice rising. I would never. He was my brother. A brother you hated, someone in the crowd shouted. A brother who shaved you in front of everyone, another voice added. Ikenna looked around at all the accusing faces. You cannot believe that I... Take him, Maziobi commanded. Lock him in the shrine until we can call the priestess. Two strong men grabbed Ikenna's arms. He struggled, but it was no use. I did not kill my brother, he shouted as they dragged him away. I swear on our father's grave, I did not do this. Adaora watched them take Ikenna away. Her face showed no emotion. Someone must fetch Nena, the priestess, Maziobi announced. Only she can commune with the spirit and find the truth. A young man ran toward the forest where the priestess lived in her sacred grove. Nena was old and wise. Her hair was white as cotton, and her eyes could see things that others could not. She knew the secrets of herbs and roots. She could speak to the ancestors and the spirits. When the messenger arrived at her grove, she was already preparing her divination tools. I know why you have come, she said before he could speak. The spirits have already whispered to me. A great evil has been done in Umuowa. Will you come, wise one? The messenger asked. Nena gathered her cowrie shells, her sacred chalk, and her wooden staff. I will come, but what I reveal may shock everyone. The truth is not always what we expect. Back in the village, the women prepared Chief Okonkwo's body for burial. They washed him with water mixed with special leaves and wrapped him in white cloth. Adaora was expected to weep and wail like a proper widow. She made the sounds, but her heart felt light for the first time in years. Her co-wife, Obiageli, watched her closely. Obiageli was the chief's second wife, older and barren. She had lived with them for 10 years. You do not seem very sad, Obiageli whispered when they were alone. Adaola's eyes flashed with warning. What are you saying? I am saying that a woman who has lost her husband should cry real tears, not fake ones. Mind your tongue, old woman, or you might find yourself in trouble too. Obiageli stepped back, suddenly afraid. There was something dangerous in Adaora's eyes. Ikenna sat in the darkness of the shrine, his hands and feet bound with rope. The shrine was a small building made of mud and decorated with strange carvings and animal skulls. He could not believe this was happening. His own brother was dead, and everyone thought he was the killer. Yes, he had been jealous.
Yes, he had wished for respect and recognition. But murder? Never! His wife, Ngozi, came to the shrine door with food and water. The guards let her pass. My husband, she cried, kneeling beside him, tell me you did not do this terrible thing. I swear to you, Ngozi, I swear on the heads of our children, I did not kill Okonkwo. Then who did? Ekena shook his head. I do not know, but someone wants me to take the blame. Ngozi wiped her tears. The priestess will find the truth. She always does. But Ekena was not so sure. He had heard stories of innocent men who were accused and punished for crimes they did not commit. Justice was not always just.
When Nena arrived in the village, everyone gathered in the square. She was a small woman, but her presence was powerful. The air seemed to change when she appeared. She walked straight to Chief Okonkwo's compound without speaking to anyone. She studied the ground where his body was found. She touched the iroko tree. She closed her eyes and listened to things only she could hear. The spirits are troubled, she said finally. There is much pain in this place, much anger, much blood. Can you tell us who killed the chief? Maziobi asked. I will perform the divination ritual tonight, Nena replied. When the moon rises, we will know the truth. Bring all the family members. Bring anyone who might have wanted the chief dead. She looked directly at Adaora when she said this. Adaora felt her stomach tighten, but she kept her face calm. As the sun began to set, people gathered in small groups, whispering about who might have killed the chief. It had to be Kenna. He was always jealous. But what if it was not him? A woman wondered. What if someone else wanted the chief dead? Who else would dare? Another man asked. In the market, the gossip grew louder. Some people remembered seeing Adaora walking late at night. Others remembered that the chief had enemies in neighboring villages. Chidi, the blacksmith, worked at his forge, hammering metal with hard, angry strikes. His hands shook. He knew that if anyone discovered his relationship with Adaora, he would be killed. He had to stay calm. He had to act normal. But fear was eating him from inside. When night fell, torches were lit all around the village square. The flames cast dancing shadows on everyone's faces. Nena sat in the center, surrounded by her divination tools. She had drawn sacred symbols on the ground with white chalk. Cowrie shells lay in patterns around her. All the family members were brought forward. Adaora, Obiageli, Ikena still bound, and the chief's 3 children from his first wife who had died long ago. We are here to seek the truth, Nena announced in a loud voice. The ancestors are watching. The spirits are listening. Whoever killed Chief Okonkwo cannot hide from the gods. She threw the cowrie shells on the ground and studied how they fell. She closed her eyes and began to chant in an ancient language. The wind picked up, making the torches flicker. People moved closer together, afraid but curious. Nena's body began to shake. Her voice changed, becoming deeper and strange. I see a man, a powerful man who caused much suffering. I see his evil deeds hidden behind a mask of respect. People looked at each other nervously. I see a woman in pain, Nena continued. Years of pain, years of silence, years of bruises hidden under wrappers and long sleeves. Adaora's heart began to pound. How could the priestess know? I see jealousy, Nena said. I see a brother who wanted what another brother had. But, she paused,
This brother did not kill. His jealousy was not strong enough for murder. Gasps went through the crowd. Ikena's eyes widened with hope. Then who? Mazi Obi demanded. Who killed our chief? Nena opened her eyes and looked straight at Adaora. Come forward, wife of the dead chief. Adaora's legs felt weak, but she forced herself to walk toward the priestess. Give me your hands, Nena commanded. Adaora held out her trembling hands. Nena took them and closed her eyes again. I see fire in your heart, the priestess said. I see rage that has burned for many years. I see... She paused. I see death, but not just the chief's death, another death, someone you loved. Tears suddenly poured down Adaora's face. She tried to pull her hands away, but Nena held them tight. Tell me, Nena said gently. Tell me about the one you lost. I cannot, Adaora whispered. You must. The truth must come out, or innocent blood will be spilled. Adaora looked around at all the faces staring at her. She saw fear, curiosity, and judgment in their eyes. She thought of Chikole hiding somewhere in the darkness. She thought of all the years of suffering. She thought of the man she had truly loved. There was someone, she said quietly, before the chief. His name was Dubem. The crowd murmured. Some of the older people remembered Dubem. He has been a young man, strong and kind, who had disappeared years ago. Dubem and I were going to marry, Adaora continued, her voice breaking. We loved each other, but Chief Okonkwo saw me at the market one day. He wanted me. He told my father that he would pay a huge bride price. This is the way of our people, Mazi Obi said. The man who pays the bride price gets the wife. But I did not want him, Adaora shouted. I told my father I loved Dubem. I begged him, but my father only saw the chief's wealth. What happened to Dubem? Nena asked, though her eyes suggested she already knew. Adaora's whole body shook with sobs. He came to take me away the night before the traditional marriage. He came with a plan to run to another village where we could be together. She paused, wiping her tears. But Chief Okonkwo found out. He and his men caught Dubem on the path near the evil forest. They beat him. They beat him until... She could not finish. Until he died, Nena finished for her. The crowd gasped. This was news to most of them. They had been told that Dubem ran away like a coward. The chief told everyone that Dubem abandoned me, Adaora said bitterly. He made me marry him 3 days later, and for 15 years, I have lived with my husband's killer. For 15 years, I have shared a bed with a man who murdered the only person I ever loved. But there is more, Nena said, her voice hard. Tell them about the bruises. Tell them about the broken bones. Tell them about the nights you thought you would die. Adaora slowly unwrapped her wrapper and showed her arms. They were covered with old scars and fresh bruises. She lifted her hair and showed a mark on her neck where the chief had tried to strangle her just 2 weeks ago. The women in the crowd gasped. Some began to cry. He beat me almost every night, Adaora said. If the food was too hot or too cold, if I spoke too much or too little, if I looked at another man or did not look at him enough, there was always a reason. She rolled up her wrapper to show her legs. More scars, some old, some new. Once, he broke my arm because I smiled at a child in the market. He said I was a whore who smiled at everyone. Why did you not tell someone? A woman in the crowd asked. Adaora laughed bitterly. Tell who? He was the chief. Everyone respected him. Everyone thought he was a good man. Who would believe me? Obiageli, the second wife, stepped forward suddenly. She speaks the truth, she said in a loud voice. I saw everything. For 10 years, I watched him beat her. I heard her screams at night. Everyone turned to look at Obiageli in surprise. He beat me too, Obiageli admitted, her voice shaking. That is why I could never get pregnant. He beat me so badly that I lost 3 babies before they could be born. More gasps from the crowd. He was a monster, Obiajeli continued. But he was clever. He only showed his evil side inside the compound. Outside, he was Chief Okonkwo the Great, Chief Okonkwo the Respected, but we knew the truth. Maziobimo troubled. If this is true, then perhaps the chief's death was justice. Adaora finished. Yes, it was justice. But did you kill him? Nena asked directly. The whole village held its breath. Adaora stood silent for a long moment. The wind blew dust across the square. The torches flickered. I wanted to, she finally said. Every day for 15 years, I wanted to. I dreamed about it. I planned it. I thought about poison, about knives, about pushing him off a cliff. But did you do it? Nena repeated. Adaora hesitated. Before she could answer, a voice shouted from the back of the crowd. She did not act alone. Everyone turned to see Chidi pushing through the people. He walked into the center of the square, his face determined. I helped her, he said clearly. I am the blacksmith Chidi, and I helped kill Chief Okonkwo. Adaora's eyes widened in horror. Chidi, no! What are you doing? I cannot let you face this alone, Chidi said, taking her hand in front of everyone. I love you. I have loved you for 2 years. And when I saw what that monster did to you, I knew he had to die. The crowd erupted in shocked whispers and shouts. You dare to admit adultery, Maziobi roared. You dare to stand here and confess to killing our chief. Your chief was a murderer himself, Chidi shot back. He killed Dubem. He beat his wives. He was a curse on this village, not a blessing. The law is the law, another elder shouted. You cannot kill a chief and go unpunished. Then punish me, Chidi said, but know the truth first. Know what kind of man you are defending. Nena raised her staff for silence. Tell us everything, she commanded. How did it happen? Chidi took a deep breath. It started 6 months ago. I was fixing pots at the chief's compound when I heard screaming. I looked through the window and saw him beating Adaora with a stick. She was bleeding. She was begging him to stop. His hands clenched into fists at the memory. I wanted to rush in and stop him, but I knew he would kill me. He was the chief. I was nobody. Go on, Nena urged. Later that day, I saw Adaora at the stream, washing blood from her clothes. I asked if she was all right. She told me to mind my own business, but I could not forget her face, the pain in her eyes. Adaora looked down, tears falling silently. I began watching the compound. I saw how he treated her. I heard the neighbors whisper about the screams at night, but no one did anything. Everyone was afraid of the chief. One evening, Adaora came to my workshop, Chidi said. She needed a new cooking pot. We talked, just talked, but it was the first time I saw her smile. She started coming more often, sometimes for pots, sometimes for nails, sometimes for nothing. We would talk about small things, the weather, the crops, the festivals. Then one day, she showed up bleeding. The chief had thrown a pot at her head. That was when I told her I loved her. That was when I told her we could find a way to be together. He looked at Adaora with such tenderness that even some of the angry villagers felt their hearts soften. We knew it was wrong, Adaora said quietly. We knew it was adultery. But I had been dead inside for so long. Chidi made me feel alive again. He made me remember what it was like to be treated with kindness. We planned to run away, Chidi added. To go to another village where no one knew us, start a new life. But something changed, Nena observed. Running away became murder. Why? Adaora's face hardened. 3 weeks ago, I saw the chief with a young girl. She was only 14 years old. Her name is Chidinma, daughter of the poor farmer Madu. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Chidinma's father stepped forward, his face confused. The chief had been giving Madu money, Adaora explained. He told Madu he wanted to help him, but I knew the truth. I had seen that look before. He wanted Chidinma as his third wife. That innocent child, Obiageli added. He would have destroyed her like he destroyed us. I could not let it happen, Adaora said firmly. I could not let him ruin another life. That was when I decided. He had to die. I told Chidi my decision, Adaora continued. At first he refused. He said we should just run away. But I made him understand. If we ran, the chief would find us. He had friends everywhere. And even if he did not find us, he would still hurt others. Chidi nodded. She was right. Running would not solve anything. So we made a plan. What kind of plan? Maziobi asked, his face grim. Poison, Chidi said simply. I have a friend in the next village who knows plants and herbs. He gave me a powder made from the seeds of the yellow oleander. Just a small amount can kill a man. We had to be clever, Adaora explained. We had to make it look natural, like his heart just stopped. Old men die suddenly sometimes. No one would question it. But we needed the right moment, Chidi added. We waited for the Harmattan season. During this time, many elders die from the cold and dust. It would be believable. 2 nights ago was the council meeting, Adaora said. I knew the chief would drink heavily afterwards. He always did when he was angry with Ikenna. I am sorry, brother, she said to Ikenna, who was still bound but listening carefully. Ikenna said nothing. His face was unreadable. That night, the chief came home drunk and angry. Adaora continued. He shouted at me. He threw things. Then he demanded food. I gave him his favorite soup, bitter leaf soup with goat meat. I had already mixed the poison into it earlier that day. The bitter leaf would hide the taste. The crowd listened in shocked silence. He ate everything, Adaora said, her voice cold now, without emotion. He even demanded more. Then he went outside to sit under the Iroko tree. He always sat there at night, thinking he was a king surveying his kingdom. I watched him from the doorway, Adaora said. Chidi was hiding nearby in case something went wrong, but nothing went wrong. The poison worked slowly, Chidi explained. First, the chief's stomach began to hurt. He thought it was just indigestion. Then his chest started to pain him. He stood up confused, trying to understand what was happening. I came out and asked if he was well, Adaora said. He told me to shut up and go inside. Those were his last words to me. Shut up, woman. She smiled a bitter smile. He collapsed near the tree. His body shook for a few moments. Then he was still. I checked to make sure he was dead. He was. Then I went back inside and went to sleep. I slept better that night than I had in 15 years. The ropes were cut from Ikenna's hands. He stood up slowly, rubbing his wrists. Everyone expected him to be angry at Adaora for almost letting him take the blame. But instead, he walked over to her and did something surprising. He knelt before her. Forgive me, he said quietly. Adaora looked down at him confused. Forgive you for what? Ikenna said, his voice breaking. I knew what my brother was. I heard the screams. I saw the bruises. When you came to our compound for family meetings. But I said nothing. I did nothing. Tears ran down his face. I was a coward, he continued. I was jealous of my brother's power, but I was also afraid of him. So I stayed quiet. I let him hurt you. I let him hurt Obiageli. For that, I am guilty too. Ngozi, his wife, came forward and put her hand on his shoulder. We were all guilty, she said softly. All of us knew something was wrong, but we chose to believe the lie that Chief Okonkwo was a good man. Mazi Obi stood up, leaning heavily on his walking stick. He looked suddenly very old and very tired. The girl speaks truth, he said heavily. We all knew. Perhaps we did not know the full extent of his cruelty, but we knew enough, and we did nothing. Other elders nodded slowly. their faces full of shame. We valued peace over justice, Mazi Obi continued. We valued tradition over truth. We said a man's house is his kingdom. We cannot interfere between a husband and his wife. And so we let evil grow in our midst. One of the women in the crowd stepped forward. I heard Adaora screaming one night. I put a pillow over my ears because I did not want to hear. I am ashamed. Another woman spoke up. I saw her bruises at the market. I asked what happened. She said she fell. I knew she was lying, but I said nothing. More and more people began to confess their silence, their complicity, their cowardice. The weight of collective guilt settled over the village like the harmattan dust. But what do we do now? Someone asked. 2 people have confessed to murder. What does our law say? All eyes turned to Mazi Obi and the other elders. Mazi Obi looked at Nena. Wise priestess, you have revealed the truth. Now tell us, what do the ancestors say? What is the just punishment?
Nena had been silent during all the confessions. She sat still, her eyes closed, listening to voices no one else could hear. Finally, she spoke. The ancestors are troubled. They say that blood has been answered with blood. A murderer has been killed by his victim. The scales are balanced. But our law says, an elder began. Your law was made by men, Nena interrupted. But there is a higher law, the law of the gods, and the gods say that a woman has the right to defend her life. She was not defending herself at that moment, another elder argued. She poisoned him when she was not in immediate danger. She was always in danger, Obiageli shouted. Every moment of every day, we lived in fear. When would he strike next? How hard would he hit? Would this be the time he killed us? Nena stood up, raising her staff high. Hear me, people of Umuowa. Hear the words of the ancestors and the gods. Everyone fell silent. Chief Okonkwo was a murderer, she declared. He killed Dubem with his own hands. He tried to kill his wives through slow violence. He was planning to destroy an innocent child. By your own laws, he deserved death. But he was never tried, Mazi Obi protested weakly. He was never found guilty by the council. Because you never tried him, Nena's voice rang out like thunder. Because you protected him, because he was a chief, and chiefs are above the law in your eyes, but no one is above the law of the gods. She pointed her staff at Adaora and Chidi. These 2 took the law into their own hands. This was wrong, but they did what you failed to do. They stopped a monster. The elders gathered in a tight circle, arguing in low voices about what should be done. We cannot just let them go free, one said. If we do, anyone can kill anyone and claim self-defense. But can we punish them when we are also guilty? Another elder asked. Perhaps banishment, suggested a third. Send them away from the village. No, Mazi Obi said firmly. If we banish them, we are saying they did something wrong. But did they? Or did they simply do what we should have done long ago? The debate went on for what felt like hours. The villagers waited, watching nervously. Adaora and Chidi stood together, holding hands, prepared for whatever judgment came. Finally, the elders returned to the center of the square. Mazi Obi spoke, his voice heavy with emotion. We have decided. Adaora, wife of the late Chief Okonkwo, and Chidi, the blacksmith, you have both confessed to the murder of the chief.
The crowd held its breath. By our traditional law, the punishment for murder is death. Gasps and cries erupted from the crowd. Several women began to wail. But Mazi Obi raised his hand for silence. However, he continued, we must also consider the crimes of the dead chief himself. He murdered Dubem. He brutalized his wives. He planned to harm a child. Therefore, we cannot, in good conscience, punish those who stopped him. To do so would make us greater villains than they could ever be. Hope flickered in Adaora's eyes. But, Mazi Obi added, and the hope dimmed again. We also cannot simply say that murder is acceptable. We cannot set a precedent that people can take the law into their own hands whenever they feel they have been wronged. So, this is our judgment, Mazi Obi announced. Adaora and Chidi, you will not be put to death. You will not be banished. But you must perform the cleansing ritual. You must make sacrifices to appease the earth goddess, for blood has been spilled on her soil. Nena nodded in approval. This is wise. The earth goddess Ani must be satisfied. 2 goats, a hen, and kola nuts must be offered. I will perform the ritual myself. Furthermore, Mazi Obi continued, all of the late chief's property will be divided equally between his wives and children, not just the sons, but the daughters too. Adaora and Obiageli, you are free women now. You may choose to remain here or go elsewhere. And Chidi, he looked at the young blacksmith, you must pay a bride price to Adaora's family to make your relationship honorable in the eyes of our people. Chidi nodded eagerly. I will. Elder, I will. I will pay whatever is required. But there is one more thing, Mazi Obi said, his voice growing stern. All of us, the elders, the men, the women, everyone in this village, we must also perform a cleansing. We must confess our own sins of silence. We must promise before the gods that we will never again allow evil to grow in secret while we look away. One by one, the people of Umuowa came forward to make their confessions and take their vows. The men promised to watch over the women and children of the village, to never again excuse violence in their homes. The women promised to speak up when they saw abuse, to support each other instead of remaining silent out of fear. The elders promised to listen to accusations against even the most powerful men, to enforce justice equally, regardless of status or wealth. It took hours. The moon rose high in the sky. The harmattan wind grew colder, but no one left. They all needed this. They all needed to purge the poison that had infected their community for so long. When it was done, Nena led them all in a prayer to the ancestors and the gods, asking for forgiveness and guidance. 3 days later, the cleansing ritual took place. Nena prepared the sacred space near the big Iroko tree where Chief Okonkwo had died. She drew symbols on the ground with kola nuts, white chalk. She burned special herbs that made thick, sweet-smelling smoke. She poured palm wine on the earth as an offering. Adaora and Chidi knelt before her while she chanted in the ancient language. She touched their foreheads with sacred chalk, marking them with the protection of the gods. The 2 goats and the hen were sacrificed. Their blood poured onto the ground as an offering to Ani, the earth goddess. Ani, mother of all, keeper of the land, Nena prayed loudly. Accept this offering. Cleanse this blood from your soil. These people have done what they believed was right. Judge them with mercy. The whole village watched in silence. Even the children were quiet, sensing the seriousness of the moment. When the ritual was complete, Nena helped Adaora and Chidi to their feet. You are cleansed, she declared. The gods have accepted your offering. You may now live your lives without the burden of guilt. Adaora felt something lift from her chest. For the first time since that night, she could breathe freely. After the ritual, Adaora asked Nena for one more favor. I want to honor Dubem's memory properly. He was never given a burial. His body was thrown into the evil forest like trash. Nena nodded. We will build a small shrine for him. Even without his body, his spirit deserves to be honored. The next day, the young men of the village built a small shrine near the path where Dubem had been killed. They carved his name into a piece of wood and placed it there. Adaora brought flowers and food offerings. She knelt before the shrine and spoke to him for the first time in 15 years. "Dubem, my love," she whispered, "I never forgot you, not for one day. Every breath I took, every moment I survived, I carried you in my heart. I am sorry I could not save you. I am sorry I was too weak to fight for us." Tears streamed down her face. "But I want you to know, the man who killed you is dead. Justice has finally come. I hope you can rest now. I hope your spirit has found peace." Chidi stood a respectful distance away, giving her this moment. He understood that part of Adaora's heart would always belong to Dubem, and he was okay with that. Obiageli had a decision to make. As the chief's second wife, she was entitled to a portion of his property. But did she want to stay in Umuowa? She went to consult with Ninina. "Wise woman," she said, "I do not know what to do. This village holds too many bad memories, but I am old. Where would I go?" Ninina studied her carefully. "You are not as old as you think. You have many years ahead of you, and those years should not be spent living in the shadow of your pain." "But I have no family to return to," Obiageli said sadly. "My parents are dead. My brothers cast me out when I could not give the chief children." "Then make a new family," Ninina suggested. "I could use help in my sacred grove. Someone to gather herbs, to prepare medicines, to learn the ways of healing. Would you be interested?" Obiageli's eyes widened. "You would teach me?" Ninina said gently. "You have suffered much. That suffering has given you wisdom and compassion. These are the qualities of a good healer. Yes, I will teach you." For the first time in years, Obiageli smiled a real smile. Young Chidinma, the 14-year-old girl who had been the chief's target, came to thank Adaora. "Ma," she said shyly, "I heard what you did. I heard that you saved me from becoming his wife." Adaora looked at this innocent child and felt her heart ache. "I am glad you are safe, little one."
"My father said he was going to tell me soon," Chidinma continued, her voice trembling. "He said I was going to marry a great chief. I did not understand why I felt so afraid, but now I know. The gods protected me through you." She knelt down and held Adaora's hands. "Thank you, Ma. Thank you for saving my life." Adaora pulled the girl into a hug. "You never have to marry someone you do not want to," she said firmly. "Remember that. No matter what anyone says, your life is yours." Chidinma's father, Madu, also came to apologize. "I did not know," he said, shame in his voice. "I thought I was giving my daughter a good life. I thought the chief was a honorable man. I am sorry." "You could not have known," Adaora said. "He fooled everyone." Ikena worked hard to redeem himself in his own eyes. He went from compound to compound, talking to the women and girls of the village. "If you are being hurt, come to me. I will listen. I will help. I swear on my life that I will never be silent again." He set up a system where women could report abuse anonymously if they were too afraid to speak openly. He convinced the elders to create a council specifically to handle family disputes, with women included as judges. His wife, Ngozi, was proud of him. "You are becoming the man I always knew you could be," she told him. Ikena and Adaora also made peace. "I should have protected you," he said. "You were my brother's wife, which made you my sister. I failed you." "You are making up for it now," Adaora replied. "That is what matters." Together, they worked to change the traditions of Umuowa. Not all traditions. Some were good and worth keeping, but the ones that allowed powerful men to abuse their families in secret, those had to go.
2 months after the cleansing ritual, Chidi prepared to pay Adaora's bride price to her family. Adaora's father was dead, but her older brother Kene was still alive. He lived in a neighboring village. When Kene heard the whole story about Dubem's mother, about the chief's abuse, about everything, he wept. "I sold my sister to a monster," he said bitterly. "I took his money and his yams and I gave him my sister like she was a goat to be traded." "You did not know," Adaora said, though part of her was still angry with him. "I should have asked you," Kene replied. "I should have cared about what you wanted. I am sorry, my sister. I am so sorry." The bride price negotiation was unusual. Normally, the man's family would try to lower the price while the woman's family demanded more. But Kene refused to take any bride price at all. "I do not deserve it," he said. "I already took money once for my sister, and look what happened. No. If you love her and will treat her well, that is payment enough." But Chidi insisted. "I want to do this properly," he said. "I want everyone to know that Adaora is honored and valued." In the end, they agreed on a fair bride price, and Kene used the money to help poor families in his village. The wedding was simple but joyful. The whole village came to celebrate. The musicians played drums and flutes. People danced until their feet hurt. For the first time in many years, Umuowa was filled with pure, uncomplicated joy. Adaora and Chidi moved into a new compound on the other side of the village. Chidi built it himself with help from the other young men. It was not as large as the chief's compound, but it was theirs. And more importantly, it was filled with love instead of fear. Adaora learned to smile again. She learned to laugh without looking over her shoulder. She learned to sleep through the night without nightmares. Chidi was a good husband. He was patient and kind. He helped with the cooking when she was tired. He listened when she needed to talk. He held her when the memories became too much. "I will spend the rest of my life proving to you that not all men are monsters," he told her one night as they lay under the stars. "You have already proven it," she replied, kissing him softly. Years passed. Adaora and Chidi grew very old. Their children and grandchildren cared for them with love and respect. She created schools where girls and boys learned together. She established laws that protected children from abuse. She built a system where anyone, regardless of gender or status, could seek justice. Other villages began to copy Umuowa's ways, slowly across the region. Not everywhere, not all at once. Change is always slow and uneven. There were still villages where women were oppressed. But the story of Umuowa spread. The story of Adaora spread. And stories have power. Young women in distant villages would hear about the woman who refused to be a victim, who fought back, who survived, and they would find courage in her example. They learned that they did not have to accept abuse as normal, that their lives had value, that they deserved to be treated with dignity and respect. Not all of them would be as fortunate as Adaora. Some would die trying to escape their abusers. Some would be punished for speaking up. Change always has a cost, and the cost is usually paid by the bravest and most vulnerable. But each small victory, each woman saved, each life improved, it all mattered. It all added up. Adaora died peacefully in her sleep at the age of 73. She had lived a full, rich life, far longer than she had ever expected when she was young. The entire village mourned her. People came from neighboring villages to pay their respects. Even people who had opposed the changes she represented came to honor her courage. Her body was prepared for burial with the greatest care. She was wrapped in the finest cloth, her face painted with white chalk, her hands folded peacefully. Chidi did not live long after Adaora's death. Without her, he lost the will to continue. He stopped eating properly. He stopped working at his forge. He sat in their empty compound, staring at nothing. "Papa, you must eat," his children begged. "Papa, you must live for us," his grandchildren pleaded. But Chidi was tired. He told them, "I have lived a good life. I had love, true love, more than most people ever find. Now let me rest." 3 months after Adaora's death, Chidi died too. The healers said his heart simply stopped, but everyone knew the truth. He died of a broken heart. They buried him next to Adaora. 2 graves side by side, 2 lives that had been intertwined. They are together again, people said, as they should be. Was Umuowa perfect now? No. There were still problems, still conflicts, still injustices. But there was also hope. There was also dialogue. There was also a commitment to keep trying, keep improving, keep striving for a more just society. And at the center of it all, like a flame that never went out, was the memory of Adaora.
Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories.